General, thank you and your whole team. I've had the pleasure to meet most of your folks over there, and I think you can look back on your time and say, well done. You kept Afghanistan together, and it's not Iraq. And let's talk about that for a second. Kunduz, when the Taliban came in and dislodged the police and the security forces, the town was retaken by the Afghans. Is that correct?
Sure, that is correct.
There's a big difference between Kunduz, Mosul, and Ramadi.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, the fortitude and resilience of the Afghan forces to get back and take over a town of 300,000 in a very short time was pretty remarkable.
If we had no U.S. troops there, how hard would it have been to accomplish that task?
Sir, in my estimation, it would have taken a lot longer to be able to do that.
Right now, this moment, if you had to tell this committee, should we stay at 9,800 based on what you know right now, this moment, for the rest of the year and into next year, what would you say?
Sir, then I would be violating what Senator McCain told me to talk about capabilities, sir. And as, again, sir, what I've done
You're
is...
not bound by that.
So what I'm telling you is at the 5,500, I am glad we're at 5,500, sir. We're in a much better place than we were.
You mean the 9,800?
5,500. We're at 98 now, yes, sir. So
Yeah.
we're in a much better place than we were, and I'm very glad that we're there. But as we look at going down to 5,500, I've got to manage it. I want to keep 9,800 as long as I can in 2016 before I have to drop to 5,500. To do that after the fighting season between the October, November, December timeframe is going to be very, very difficult, but I have to figure out a way, and I'll
Is
pass
the
it.
5,500 a military goal or a political goal?
So the 5,500 was a number based on certain assumptions and mission sets that were required to accomplish.
If I ask you right now, do you think we should be at 5,500 at the end of the year? Is that a good military thing?
So I would have to base it on conditions on the ground.
Yeah, but you want to do counterterrorism, right?
Yes, sir.
So 5,500 is mostly counterterrorism centric.
It's most CT. It has limited TAA.
You
yes,
just
sir.
described to Senator Fisher tremendous gaps in the air capability of the Afghans. You've talked about 2015 being tough. I just don't see where the 5,500, did the military recommend 5,500, or was this just a number picked by the White House?
Sure, that was part of a long process that the military was tied into, yes, sir.
I mean, no, my question is, did the military say, we think based on everything we know about Afghanistan, 5,500 is the right number? Did that come from the politicians in the White House?
So I don't believe that came from the politicians. That was an overall process.
What general recommended 5,500?
So I don't want to go into, discussions.
I just want to know where this number came from. I want to know, is it a politically driven number or is it a military driven number?
So I think it's a number driven based on the mission sets, the narrow mission sets of TAA, limited as I talked about, and a CT mission. And then, but again, there were assumptions made, as every course of action, there are assumptions made, and if those assumptions don't prove
Did the
true, you have to
military
adjust.
suggest we just do two things in Afghanistan, counterterrorism, train, advise, and assist, or did that come from the political leadership?
Sure, the military has an opportunity to provide their best military advice on the purpose of why we're there, and the mission sets that are assigned.
The only reason I mention this is that we're in Iraq in a state of disarray. I've been hearing for a long time that it was the Iraqis who said no to residual forces. I don't believe that for a moment. I know what the military recommended to the White House, and I know why we got to zero. The same people that pushed us to zero, I think, are pushing us to 5,500, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe 5,500 is the best military configuration at the end of 2016. I just have real serious doubts about that. Am I wrong to doubt that?
Sure, as I said, I've already provided what I think are adjustments to that number based on the capabilities that will be required to move forward.
Is the Taliban an enemy of this country?
I didn't hear the question, sir.
Is the Taliban an enemy of the United States?
The Taliban, as far as helping al-Qaeda and Haqqani and other insurgents groups, Taliban have been responsible for
If
many
the Taliban were in charge of Afghanistan tomorrow, would our homeland be threatened?
So I think would be more at risk.
Are you prohibited from attacking senior leadership of the Taliban?
So I have all the authorities I need to protect our coalition.
Can you
partners.
attack the senior leadership of the Taliban?
Sir, if there's senior leadership of the Taliban that are attacking...
I'm not talking about force protection. I'm talking about, can you go after the Taliban who are trying to take over the country of Afghanistan that would invite terrorists back into that region to attack us? Can you attack the Taliban?
So I believe if the Taliban are a threat to us, I can attack them. If I cannot attack Taliban...
Without
because of
shooting at a
Taliban.
soldier, can you attack them? If they're not shooting at one of our soldiers, can you attack them?
So I have to make the force protection nexus to the Taliban.
So our limitations on the Taliban is that they got to have a direct threat to U.S. forces, right?
Sir, again, I don't go into rules of engagement authorities in open hearing. What I would tell you is that our country has made the decision that we are not at war with the Taliban.
Do you think we're at war with the Taliban?
I think the Taliban have killed many of my soldiers.
Do you think they're at war with us?
So the Taliban continue
Do you think the
to...
Taliban would welcome an attack on the United States if they could help make one happen?
I do, sir.
Yeah, thank you.